Hello again, Dr. Pinesett, the pre-med productivity expert. And again, I'm bringing you another awesome quote by Napoleon Hill. I feel like my whole channel is becoming Napoleon Hill, but he is by far one of my favorite authors, and so I always have quotes from him. And I'm going to read this quote because it's long, and I'm going to save us all, me mumbling through this. So here's the quote. Financial independence, riches, desirable business, and professional positions are not within reach of the person who neglects or refuses to expect, plan, and demand these things. So one more time. Financial independence, riches, desirable business, and professional positions are not within reach of the person who neglects or refuses to expect, plan, and demand these things. And that's Napoleon Hill. And I love that quote because, I mean, in every way, shape, or form in your life, if you don't demand things, you're not going to get things, right? You're not entitled to anything. Nothing. No one is given anything in this world. We're not entitled to anything. You have to take and demand what you want. And so often I see pre-meds being passive in their career, kind of letting opportunities come to them, or letting their grades be what they are. You've got to go out and take it, set the standard, set the mark, and go do it, right? And so often pre-meds will come to me and say, college is expensive. How do you afford to do it? And the answer a lot of the times is just loans. You take out loans, you do what you have to do, and you get the degree, because in the end it's going to pay you back way more. But one of the things you can do is you can get a job to pay for your school. In my case, I had, as I've always had, I've really liked learning and teaching and education. And so I studied that, I was passionate about it, I was pretty good at it. And so when I was an undergrad, as most pre-meds do, it's like, oh, okay, I can tutor, that's great money. And I went to one of those big tutoring companies, and we all know the names of them, and I was gonna be a tutor, and they were offering at this time, and this is way back in my day, it was $15 an hour to tutor. And when I heard that, I was like, that means I'm doing the math. Well, how many hours do I have to do to pay my rent? That's too many hours. So I said, I think I'm better than that. And I went out and started my own tutoring company. And you're probably saying, oh, I can't do that. But you can, right? And it goes back to that quote of demanding what you want, right? If you want a good position, a desirable position, you want to make your own thing, you gotta want it, you gotta demand it, you gotta set the expectation, you gotta do it. So I started this tutoring company, and I was like, okay, what am I worth? What am I worth? What am I worth? And I said, you know what? I want to make $75 an hour. That was my goal. And when I first started out and I would tell people $75, they would say, absolutely not, you're out of your mind, you're crazy. And they would offer me, like, oh, okay, I'll give you $20, I'll give you $30, I'll give you $40. And I say, no, it's $75 or nothing. That's what my time is worth. And a lot of people said no, like I said, but then one or two people said yes, and they were giving me $75 an hour to tutor. And as I do with everything, I put 110% in, and at the end of tutoring sessions, I'm sweating, right? I'm working hard, and all that hard work, people then were referring me out to other people saying, listen, I pay $75 for this tutor, he's amazing, you need to get him. And then I had all this business, all of a sudden it was just expanding. And then what was really interesting was that people wanted to seem fancier than they were, I guess. And so they started actually artificially inflating my rate. So people were saying, you know what, I pay $100 or $125 for this person. And then people are trying to outbid ghost bids that didn't exist. And so eventually I started moving my rates up, and I was making $150 an hour then to tutor. And it was all because that's 10 times what I would have been making working for one of the big companies. And it's all because I demanded, I made a plan to get, and I expected to get my money. I set the bar high, and I expected to get what I felt like I deserved. And too often, students will just take what's given to them, right? So with research, I see it all the time. And people ask me, well, my research sucks, should I stay in it? Absolutely not, right? Research is about the letter of recommendation and about getting published. If you're in a position where you have no access to the principal investigator, right, the professor in the lab, if you're in a place where all you're doing is cleaning rat cages for 2 years, that's not a great place for you. That's not filling you. And you have to demand more if you're gonna get more, right? So first try to voice it to the lab, and if they're not receptive, then get out of there, right? But you have to demand, you have to set the bar and the expectation if you ever expect to get what you really want. You've got to make it a demand. You got to make it a plan. You got to be all about it, right? You got to go in 100% and believe it in your heart that that's really what you deserve, and then it'll come to you. So in everything you do, always think to yourself, I'm going to read it again. Things only come to people who expect, plan, and demand, not to people who neglect. So if you want something, if you want to be successful, you got to plan for your success, and you got to go out and get it. Be hungry, go get it. All right, so Dr. Pinesett, the Pre-Med Productivity Expert. Subscribe to my channel, like me on Facebook, the Pre-Med Productivity Expert, and just keep watching my videos. Thank you guys.